Netflix's The Last Kingdom may have just come to an end, but there's still some more in store for die-hard fans. A spin-off movie called Seven Kings Must Die. The follow-up movie acts as an epilogue to the series, but how do they both connect? Wonder no more, because I'll be telling you all that you need to know in this video. The Last Kingdom ending explained. So, all you gotta do is watch to the very end. The future of England. Was the siege a success? In the final episode of The Last Kingdom Season 5, it begins with an arrow shot in Ethelstan's path. Ethelhelm chooses to play for time in a bid to knock off the marriage, while Edward launches an attack. However, Constantin is a renowned fighter who's never going to bow to Ethelstan's bidding so easily. Withgar cooks up a plan to use Aelfwine to lure the enemy and the king, but the plan doesn't see the light of day as it's foiled instantly by our beloved Uthred, who pops up and challenges Withgar, prompting Aelfwine to take flight. He reconnects with Finan and Sihtric on his way to the main chamber, both of who had already broken out themselves. They also discover that Halfdan is dead, but they take comfort in the fact that his soul is destined for Valhalla. The siege is underway, and as Edward looks on from a distance, the battering ram bangs hard against the main gate. However, boiling hot oil causes the Saxons to halt their break-in attempts. While this is going on, Constantin's army marches forward, and as they draw closer, Uthred overhears Aethelheim and Constantin developing a plan to make Edward believe they're surrendering. Did Constantin's trap work on Edward, who dies in battle? Being the master strategist that he was, Constantin plans to launch an attack from two fronts. The first attack would be from within the fortress, and the second would be from behind Edward's army. Uthred tries to tell the king not to march forward, but he's resisted by a sea of arrows. As soon as he sticks his head out of the ramparts, things look gloomy, as Edward and many of his army are pushed close to the sea, all thanks to Constantin joining the battle. Aldheim is among those who lost their lives that day, as he tries to fight back, only to be crushed as hundreds of soldiers fall over the edge of the cliff. Simultaneously, Uthred and Finan spots Theora around the outskirts of the fight and approach her for help. She believes that they're too late, but Uthred makes her a resounding promise of Saxon and Danes living in peace, so she agrees. Uthred's speech was more than enough to convince Theora to join them in battle. Why did Ethelhelm commit suicide? As the battle progresses and as Uthred and Edward's men align, Constantin chooses to burn the fortress down. In the meantime, Edward has sustained an injury from fighting, while Uthred spots Withgar from the ramparts, then runs after him through the courtyard. Ethelstan shows up there too, and urges him to say the truth about the queen, right in the presence of his grandson. Ethelhelm finally confesses to Aelfward, who's startled as he found out about the betrayal. In disappointment, he drops his sword and simply walks away. Ethelstan refuses to kill Ethelhelm, who was bold enough to do the honors himself by committing suicide. In the meantime, Uthred is searching for Withgar. He eventually finds himself and flings him off a balcony, killing him in the process. However, as Uthred is busy dealing with Withgar, the soldiers were busy burning the fortress. After killing Withgar, Uthred chooses to stay, as he believes he's destined to die in Bebbanburg. It begins to rain, and the flames around the fortress begin to quench, and Uthred takes it as a sign that the gods have more in store for him. Negotiation of peace between Scotland and England? Uthred negotiates with Constantin in a bid to free his commander. This would be in exchange for Constantin's men, who had previously been captured. However, Constantin demands that Uthred swear fealty to Scotland. Uthred refuses, but he had other ideas up his sleeve. The land will be kept as Northumbria, but not as a part of England, as Edward would have wished. Rather, Uthred keeps the land and tells Edward that he isn't the right king to move England forward, therefore cannot unite the country as one. Edward didn't find this very funny. However, his anger wasn't enough to stop him from allowing the Danes to live in peace. How does Season 5 end? Uthred trains with Ethelstan, who surprisingly beats him in a sword fight. This gives us a glimpse of the man Ethelstan is going to become in the Seven Kings Must Die prequel. As Uthred stares through the horizon, he says, "Destiny is all," as he looks back at all the events that had led up to that very moment. I'm sure you'd agree that The Last Kingdom had an awesome season finale, and that it is surely one of the best TV shows out now. But am I the only one who thinks that the season finale was bittersweet? Or do you feel the same? Bitter in the sense that Constantin's threat is far from over, but sweet in the fact that Uthred, who's arguably the most loved character in the show, has come a really long way and was now settled in his ancestral home. Without a doubt, The Last Kingdom has been packed with a lot of drama and action, which was intelligently mixed with an interesting political plot, all while the final episode resolved most issues. It was still set up properly to make room for more spin-offs, even after the forthcoming movie. So, would you then agree that The Last Kingdom is one of the best Netflix shows ever? If you do, then I'm sure you'll be eager to know what happens in the spin-off movie, Seven Kings Must Die. Let's take a peek. What could possibly happen in Seven Kings Must Die? You already know that Seven Kings Must Die is planned to pick up where the Last Kingdom left off. So, at this point, Uthred and Ethelstan's forces have defeated Constantin. Uthred had returned to claim his hometown of Bebbanburg, and to maintain the peace, he brokered a deal with Constantin that made sure that the region of Northumbria would continue to act as a buffer zone between Scotland and England. Well, at least until England gets another king. But wait, won't an independent Bebbanburg mean the end of King Edward's dream of a unified England? If this is so, then we might just see King Edward pedal back on his words and betray Uhtred. When can you expect to see Seven Kings Must Die? I know you're itching to see Seven Kings Must Die, but it seems like you're probably gonna have to wait a little longer. This is because at the time of this video, the movie doesn't even have an official release date. But don't be sad, because I got some news for you. The producers have already finished filming. You know what this means, right? Seven Kings Must Die may hit the big screen sooner rather than later. Yeah, realistically, you'd be able to see Seven Kings Must Die on Netflix around late 2022, early 2023 at most. Will The Last Kingdom have more spin-offs after Seven Kings Must Die? Great question. And while the answer seems to be like a straightforward yes, we can only hope that it does. The Last Kingdom was initially meant to cover the 10 novels in Bernard Cornwell Saxon's Stories series. However, he's released 3 more novels since the end of its season finale. These additional novels include War of the Wolf, Sword of Kings, and Warlord. So if the Seven Kings Must Die movie is in alignment with the original novels, then you can expect to see a lot more of Uhtred and other spin-offs. In the 11th book of the Saxon Stories, War of the Wolf, Uhtred secures his ancestral home. Edward, on the other hand, snags up the opportunity to rule Mercia after Aethelflaed's death. As for the 12th book, Sword of Kings, Uhtred is right in the center of a succession conflict between Mercia and Wessex. While in the 13th book, Warlord, it sees him meet with Alfred the Great and establishes himself as a major figure in the deciding battle to see if Alfred will ascend to the English throne or not. The Last Kingdom prequel, Seven Kings Must Die, is planned to be a standalone story, as executive producer Nigel Marchant has officially confirmed. In an interview with the Radio Times with regards to Season 5, he explained that they felt the 2 major points of the story had begun to form, and that was the right time to put an end to the series and focus on the spin-offs. He said, over the 5 seasons, there was a very definite beginning, middle, and end, so it was a group decision that we came to. Hopefully the Seven Kings Must Die movie, as well as any other spin-off from either of the books, will be just as awesome as The Last Kingdom. So I guess we just gotta keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Well, thanks guys for watching this video on The Last Kingdom ending explained. Leave a word in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe so you can stay updated with all of our stuff, and I'll see you next time.